I love music. There's instruments all over this room. Finding music for your videos, probably one of the most just frustrating things. It's so hard to find a good song. The thing I've learned is not to overthink it. When you're trying to find a song to use, the first thing that kind of excites you and makes you interested, just go with it. Don't hang on to that and then keep searching for 20 minutes to find something better. You like this song, it sounds good, just go with it and have fun. For me, I really like the intros and outros of my videos to have music that is a little bit crazier than I would use in the middle of a project. It's a little bit like flashier, maybe a little more eccentric, and the music that would be in the background is much more mellow because I don't want it to be distracting. So what I'll often do is just sort of go to Artlist and just kind of see what's new a lot of times, just sort of search for music until I find something. Okay, I think I found a song that might actually work for the intro, and it was quicker than I expected it to be. I just randomly came across this song here called It's Going Down. And as you can see, it does have the little icon, so there are different versions. There's the full mix that has explicit lyrics in it. I'm not gonna use that one on my YouTube channel. And there's also one that has no lead vocals, and there's an instrumental. So this is what that song sounds like. I like it. It's got some horns in it. There's some bass in it. I think it's pretty fun. The song itself doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I don't mind cutting things up and pasting them together if I need to. What I'm thinking of right now is there a section that's gonna be quiet enough where I could use it in the intro, and then a part that could kick in and be a little bit louder during the logo, and then maybe something I could even edit to as I'm doing this montage of other intros that I want to edit at the beginning of this video. And I think this song's gonna work really well for that. Or at least I'm just gonna make it work really well for that. So I'm going to just download the instrumental version. I always choose Wave because I just want the highest quality possible. And so now our music has been added in here. I know I'm not gonna leave it at 0 decibels. Normally it would be probably a lot quieter than this, but let's just hear what it sounds like without me even touching it. Motion tracking is a really fun and powerful and just awesome effect to use in your videos, and fortunately in recent years it's become easier and easier to use. So today I'd like to introduce you to how I use motion tracking in my video intros. And what you saw just right there was there's something really fun that happens when you edit with music, and it's how I learned the word serendipity. In my 9th grade video production class, I was working on the very first iMac that we had in there that had iMovie 1 on it, and I was editing a video and I added a song, and there were just points in the song that lined up perfectly with the images. And my video production teacher said, yeah, that's total serendipity when things line up like that. And that's how I learned what the word serendipitous means. And I think of that every time music lines up perfectly. There's a few things without me touching it that I really like about this song right here. I actually like just the vibe. Motion tracking is a really fun and powerful and just awesome effect to use in your videos. And then when the hi-hat kicks in there, or I don't know if it's a tambourine or a hi-hat, it just happens to be right when the shot changes, which is also because of how those shot changes are structured, right when my point kind of changes a little bit. So the shot, the point changes, and then the music kind of kicks into a different gear. Just awesome effect to use in your videos, and fortunately in recent years, maybe it's not perfect. Use in your videos, and it's a little fast, so I'm going to nudge it over a little bit. Use in your videos, and fortunately in recent years, it's become easier and easier to use. So today I'd like to introduce, even that, normally I probably wouldn't want big drum hits in the middle of me talking, but in this case I'm saying, so today I want to do this. I'm like introducing an idea, and we're kind of getting, I feel like it might work. Introduce you to how I use motion tracking in my video intros. And now, the thing I don't like is there's like no energy during the logo here. This is the part where I need like the music to come in and be fun. So let's see other parts of this song. Oh, see how the song kicks in right there? That's cool. That would be awesome to have over here. So let's see, now I'm just splitting up the song. I'm basically remixing it and kind of hoping for the best here. Let's see how this lines up. Okay. This part of the song right here, I can even add a marker. This is where it really kicks in, and you can see, you know, there's this horn that goes up and down, and then boom, the beat kicks in right there. So I'm just gonna line that up with the start of this shot. See, serendipity, my finger clicks on the mouse kind of line up with the percussion in the song. That's cool. I want to keep this there. Now the tricky part here is I don't know if these are going to, this is gonna sound weird.
I use motion tracking in my video intros.
Actually didn't sound that weird, but.
I'd like to introduce you to how I use motion tracking in my video intros.
Actually, that kind of works. What I was thinking of doing was letting some silence hang out here and then fading this in so it's like
intros.
It's almost like there's a breath and then boom, the thing hits. But these kind of worked just as is. So now let's play around with our levels a little bit. I think I'm gonna keep this around -11. The song's already mastered at an appropriate volume for music, but I'm trying to keep in mind that people are listening to this video and they're listening to my voice, which is at a certain level, and I don't want this super loud song to then come in and be annoying. So I'm trying to keep the song volume at the same level as my voice. And it's not going past -12 on my audio meter over here. So what I'm gonna do then here is press R, select this, and bring this all the way down to like -25 maybe. And then I can change these little keyframes here. See, these are audio keyframes. Yeah. I even want this to go up more. Yeah, just because this song has that, I don't know, it's a trumpet that's sort of increasing in volume there. I want this to increase in volume with it, and that's a good transition from low volume song to high volume song. And then this is at -25 decibels, so I'm just gonna put this down to -25.
Use motion tracking in my video intros.
Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Let's play the whole intro back.
Motion tracking is a really fun and powerful and just awesome effect to use in your videos, and fortunately in recent years it's become easier and easier to use. So today I'd like to introduce you to how I use motion tracking in my video intros.
I think that's still, oh, you know what we could do here? We can use a trick here. Because I like this level, but I think this is too loud
in your videos, and fortunately,
and I think if I lower this down more to like -30 or 31, this transition between these, between the low part here and the high part here,
I'd like to in my video intros.
That's not bad. But I think what would be better is to do something called scooping the mids. If you've ever watched a movie or a TV show where you notice that there's kind of loud music in the soundtrack, but you can still hear the actor's dialogue perfectly, the way that you can do that is by scooping the mids out of that audio. And I do that a lot in my videos. And what that basically means is you have your music level, but where all of the frequencies are that the human voice normally hangs out in, you've just sort of gotten rid of those a little bit. So you've sort of carved out this, you've scooped out this area for voice to hang out, and then the music just fills everything else. And that means you can have music and voice side by side, but they're not competing against each other. It does make the music sound a little strange because there's no mid-range tones, but that's filled in with voice. So the way that I do that is I just click on a clip and we go back over to our audio equalizer that we talked about ages ago when we were first setting up our project. To scoop the mids, I start in the middle, and I've done this a number of times now, so I usually don't even play back the song at first. I usually bring the very middle one down to about -12, and then you just sort of make a nice little slope here, just sort of a scoop. We're not necessarily adjusting everything, and now that's gonna make our song sound a little different. So it sounds weird, it sounds thin, right? But if I put in my voice,
motion tracking is a really fun and powerful and just awesome effect to use in your videos.
Probably turn this down a little bit. Probably doesn't need to be that extreme.
Motion tracking is a really fun and powerful and just awesome effect to use in your videos, and fortunately in recent years it's become easier and easier to use. So today I'd like to introduce you to how I use motion tracking in my video intros.
There we go. So now This music's not getting in the way of my voice, but it's still loud enough to be heard. And then this music, because these are just two separate clips, I'm not going to scoop these mids. And I'm just going to leave this here because I want to add in a bit of a montage. The next section here.
And what you saw just right there was an example of what I'm talking about. And it's something that I've been doing for a little bit over a year now, the specific motion tracking thing. You can see all these examples right here. Basically what I try to do in an intro to a video is have an interesting looking shot, usually.
So this is normally what I would just do for video intros, just have this and then we would come back here. But because this video is about video intros, I'm thinking of something. I might want to go into my generators, bring in a custom generator, and then listen to the song a little bit. Okay, I might think about, so now I'm going to go back over to the footage for this project, and I have this intros folder, and these are all the intros I have collected. I'm going to grab a couple of my favorites. I like this one because it has bright colors. This one has a lens flare in it. I'm definitely using the lens flare one, the anamorphic one. That one's going there. Don't need the volume on it. Some cool ones. I think I'm going to take this RE21. I think I'm going to take this one. I don't know how many I need. I don't know how many I have room for in this little montage here. I really love this one. The lighting and the color, it's so just beautiful. The anamorphic one is really fun. Maybe now I just want to listen to the music and see how these clips look. Oh, more serendipity. Listen to the whoosh in the drums, or the, I don't know, flam in the drums as this light flare comes around this microphone. That wasn't even on purpose. Probably have room for one more. I think I know which one I want to use. Yeah. I want to use this one. Sometimes I just do stuff that's meaningful to me. I like the colors in this one. It makes sense, but I know that this was also the very first time I ever did this motion tracking technique was on this video right here, and I was really excited about it. So getting to include that clip in the intro, it's just sort of like a special little thing that nobody else needs to know about or will know about, but it means something to me. So sometimes I like to put stuff like that in there.
And what you saw just right there was...
There we go. Okay, that's kind of a fun little montage we've got. Let me see what I say here.
And what you saw just right there was an example of what I'm talking about, and it's something that I've been doing for a little bit over a year now.
Okay, I think I know how I want to do this transition. We're going to end this song here. Now this song, let me hear just how this song ends. Oh, that's a good ending. Sometimes songs just kind of fade out and it's not really a great ending, but that like, it's really cool. Sometimes I use the same song and a different song at the beginning and the end of the video. It's just a fun way to throw in stuff. But a lot of times, when possible, I actually like to use the same song at the beginning and the end. It's sort of like a bookend. Again, I don't know if anyone ever notices that, but it's something that I think might help a little bit. And so I'm going to take this song for right now and just put it over here.
Check out these videos right here.
There, I can probably even shorten this up a bit. And that could be how the project ends. I'm not gonna mess with this anymore. I'm just gonna put that there as a reminder. Hey, probably wanna use this song over here. Here, what I think I'm going to do is have this fade out during this last clip. The same way that that trumpet blast let the song fade in, I think could let it fade out too.
And what you saw just right there.
I might even extend this in a little bit.
And what you saw just right there was an example of.
These are all different aspect ratios. So I'm going to increase these to 114% to get rid of some of these black bars. That one's not. I'm going to keep this one because this was filmed with an anamorphic lens and an anamorphic aspect ratio, and this just looks cool. So I'm not going to, I don't want to zoom in and get rid of that. It's not going to look as neat as with the black bars in this case, and the long, wide composition. And then what I want to do is this song's going to end, and as I start now talking.
And what you saw just right there was an example of what I'm talking.
I want that to go to an immediate cut transition to what will be the background music for the remainder of this video. I don't have any specific hard and fast rules when it comes to background music in my videos. Sometimes I use it and sometimes I don't, and it just depends on the video. Sometimes I will use multiple songs throughout the course of a video. So it's all just personal taste and preference. The thing I will say is when it comes to choosing a background song, you don't want it to be distracting. Like the song that I have at the beginning here, it has like a kind of a fast beat, there's horns, there's all this. That's way too distracting to have in the background throughout the whole video, no matter how many mids we scoop out of it. So I want something a little mellower, usually some kind of like chill hip hop or something along those lines helps quite a bit. A jazz song just kind of feels good. Finding music is always hard. Finding background music is pretty much impossible. I most of the time, if I don't have background music in a video, it's because I just didn't want to go through the process of finding background music. It's one reason I love it when I get to do microphone reviews, because since people need to listen to the quality of the microphone, I can't have background music because they need to hear the microphone. So it's always an excuse to not have to worry about it. But sometimes you need it. This video, I think, really needs some background music. So same thing, Artlist, Epidemic, YouTube, Audio Library, whatever service you might want to use. I would find the song there. The part where it gets a little bit tricky is your song, like the one we just downloaded, your song's probably going to be 2 to 3 minutes long, but your video, in this case, our video is 16 minutes long, and yours could be 40 minutes or an hour long. So you could end up using a bunch of different songs, which is fine. I think it's always best to switch songs when the tone or the subject of the video changes a little bit, not just sort of randomly in the middle somewhere. And so what that means is you might end up looping songs over and over again. I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about here. Let's take another copy of the song we downloaded for the beginning. So let's pretend that this is going to be our background audio, and we want it to go a little bit longer, so we're just gonna loop it. We're just gonna have it end and then start again. It becomes sort of this awkward thing where it's like, it doesn't, like the song stops and starts very clearly, and that becomes distracting. So what's better to do than loop the song like that is to then start maybe remixing your songs a little bit, which is where you might decide like, okay, instead of using this ending part of the song here, we're gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna find where the song sort of kicks in. We're gonna find that part where the song kicks in here, and maybe now these can go next to each other a little more effectively. See, that again was just by accident, but sometimes you have to work to really align the beat, and you're doing a lot of periods and commas to make the beats align, and then maybe you're doing some crossfades between these songs. There's all kinds of different ways to do that. That sounds like awesome, actually. That was cool. That's like one of the coolest ones I've ever done. But one thing I would recommend is if you find yourself doing that, if you've taken a song and you've extended it out, you might want to just save that song. When you press Command E to export from Final Cut Pro, you could choose in your settings to just export audio only. So you could even have a Final Cut project that's just a song you've edited together, or you mute everything else, you just export the song. And that way you have that longer version of a song that's ready to use again in future projects. To take that one step further, if you have an Adobe account, you can use Adobe Audition to automatically remix and lengthen songs. It's amazing. This is not a course on Adobe software, and I wouldn't expect everybody to have an Adobe account, But if you do, and if you have Adobe Audition, there's a really cool thing where you can give some basic parameters to the software, like how often you want it to repeat, and do you want it to fade out? How long do you want it to be? But you can basically take a 2-minute song and make it a 2-hour song if you wanted to, or vice versa. You could take a 2-minute song and make it a 15-second intro stinger. It's pretty amazing. Again, since this is not an Adobe course, I'm going to put a link to one of my videos in the notes here where I explain how to do this. So if you do have Audition, you can figure out it's super quick and super easy. The reason I'm bringing that up right now, though, is because what I've done is one day I just took some of the background songs that I found myself using frequently. Main songs, like the big intro one we're using here, I probably won't want to reuse that song, but background music, I have no problem reusing background songs. I'm totally fine with it. So I just have some of these songs stored on my computer where I have access to them at all times. And I've renamed, like, here's a chill background song that's 14 minutes. Cool Kids on the Porch remix, Mint Conditions, 14 minutes. And so I just sort of take ones I think might be interesting and just drag them to the timeline to test them out. We'll delete our fake remix right there. See how this one might sound. Typically, I'll keep the level around -30 for a background song. Like noise and blur. You can go in and play with colorization. That's fine, but I don't love it. I'm just gonna take a tried and true one. This is a song from Epidemic Sound called Poetic Wax, and I made it 14 minutes long. And this is one that I use a lot because I just like this song. It's really fun, but it's not distracting, but it's not depressing either. I love it. I think it's a great song. It's one of my favorite background songs. I do kind of hate that lo-fi sound of like the static that's in the back. So many background songs have that in there, and it almost makes it sound like my audio is bad, but no, it's... Anyway, that's a rant for a different day. Point being, I like this song. I think it's going to work. It's even one I do use as an example within the video here, so layers upon layers of songception. And so what I'm thinking of doing is just pretty much starting this right here where our intro song ends.
And what you saw just right there was...
I think I want to match that more up with me on screen.
And what you saw... And what you saw... And what you saw just right there was an example of what I'm talking about, and it's something that I've been doing for a little bit of...
Okay, I think that works. And the reason I think that this hard transition between these songs works, which normally is probably not something you would do, is because we're in this montage and then we're in me explaining. And those are two very different things. And so I think it's okay if the music changes. And I'm going to turn this all the way down to -30 decibels to start.
Something that I've been doing for...
And because this is a background song that's going throughout the entire video, I'm definitely going to scoop the mids of this song. I guess I could even export and save like a scooped mids version. I'm going to do that here. And I'm probably going to go over and just take these down to kind of tame some of the snare sound, the snare drum sound that's in this song.
Something that I've been doing for a little bit over a year now, the specific motion tracking thing. You can see all these examples right here. Basically what I try to do in an intro to a video is have an interesting looking shot. Usually it involves the product or whatever I might be talking about in that video. And then I find...
I think this is pretty good.
You can see all these examples. And what you saw just right there was an example of what I'm talking about, and it's something that I've been doing for...
So that's pretty much our song there. I'm not going to worry about the fact that it doesn't quite go to the end just yet.